Well, hello, Green Team. Nice to be with you now in the new year. It's January 6th, 2021. Welcome to 2021. Nice to be here with you. So, today on the podcast, I wanted to talk about this idea of how to make a big splash by Earth Day of 2021. So, while I'm recording this right now, Earth Day is 106 days away. And in our thinking, most people think, there's not enough time to do anything. But you know what? That's the kind of thinking that's gotten us to the problem that we're at right now. Because if you think about the problem that we have at the moment, it means a lot of people are passionate about taking care of the planet. They've tried things, they've done things like signed petitions, signed up for large environmental groups, maybe tried to do some on their in their work, or maybe they've done things like tried to start something themselves and just not been able to get anybody interested. Maybe you got trained on climate change, on the dire consequences, and you run around freaking everybody out, and still you can't get people to take action. Well, don't worry, it's not your fault. We just aren't taught how to actually do this. But now that we know how, then yes, definitely you can make an impact by Earth Day. And so I want to tell you about that. But first, what I wanted to say was that if you've not checked out the Paani Foundation, Paani Foundation in India, and learned about their water cup, I highly encourage you to do so. What they do is they go into villages where they have been experiencing these massive droughts, places where people rely on tankers coming in, where they get just tiny bits of water, not enough for drinking or bathing, let alone for growing things. So they've gone into villages like that, trained people, and then they have this 45-day competition where just thousands of people get out there and start changing the watershed, restoring the watershed by hand mostly. And they're transforming and restoring their whole communities, the whole watershed, in 45 days. So when you think, oh, I have 106 days until Earth Day, I want you to think about that in relationship. That people are out there, they're doing big things in short amounts of time, and that you can too. And another big thing to understand is that most people say, well, I can't seem to get people excited about joining my team, or, this idea that I have. Well, if you can't make it exciting, people won't be excited. It's just that easy. And so, what I want to do today is share with you the action plan checklist. And let's see here if I've got this up. Here we go. Yeah, so I'll bring that up in a second. Just getting all of my tabs and everything ready here. But let me go ahead and share my screen, give you a little background first. There we go. Okay, so the background is that I personally have wasted decades doing stupid stuff that I thought was effective and wasn't. And that's pretty much what everybody's been doing because we didn't know what worked. So I started having success, seeing things happen, and put it together in this book called Climate Action Challenge. And then what we did was we recruited a bunch of people. First, we started by recruiting mentors. And then in the month of August, we recruited people who signed up and said, okay, in 90 days, here's what I will do. I will try to start a community garden. I'll start a team around pollinator protection, around raising awareness with kids about plastics in the ocean. Whatever their idea was, they came up with their their commitment and said, I'm going to try and get this many team members and get this thing started in 90 days. So we had these folks sign up. And then what happened was we had a total of 128 people from 21 countries. You can see the countries here, like Australia, Bangladesh, Canada, Democratic Republic, Kenya, Switzerland, Zambia, that signed up. And then what happened is that of the top 29 teams, they planted 43,000 trees. They did 83,000 voter outreach contacts. They started 57 gardens, including 2 of those being urban farms. And one of our challengers, Miss Elite Earth Delaware, this is Malika Yates, she delivered 3,000 eco-friendly COVID kits. We had another challenger that started a podcast to train about sargassum, which is an algae which is causing lots of problems. And so, the possibilities of what people can do in 90 days are endless. And so I encourage you to head over to climateactionchallenge.net, click on challengers, and you'll be able to click in and see any of their stories, see what their impact was, see some of the photos, listen to their interview. It's really mind-blowing what folks were able to do in this short amount of time. Okay, and so then just letting you know that the resources that are here available to support you, the book, the workbook, you can get these on Amazon if you want to get them in print. If you buy them from me, you'll get the digital copies, including the editable version of the workbook. So you can get a Microsoft Word or Google Docs. And then we have 2 different courses. So the Challenger course is if you're somebody that wants to take on this idea of doing something in 90 days, then I'm going to tell you in a minute, I'm going to walk through this action plan checklist so you'll know exactly what that all entails. But if you're somebody that would like a little bit more assistance, then definitely check out the Challenger course because it's going to have the 20 video lessons. So this is a video for each chapter in the book. So you're getting personal training from me on exactly how to do everything. You can share those videos with up to 20 people on your team. So if you're like, okay, I know it, but how do I convey it to other people? Then your whole team can watch it. You'll get a 90-minute one-to-one coaching session with me, 5 digital copies of the book. You can join our private group in our members area. So this is only for people who are in the course. So you'll be able to talk to those other folks as well as I'll be there in addition. And then you also get an invite to join our alumni group from people, the mentors, the challengers, everybody that just went through that big International Climate Action Challenge that I spoke about earlier. So that's our Challenger course. And then we also have the community course. So let's say that you're somebody that's thinking, well, I don't only want to do it at my church. I want to get all the churches of this certain denomination to do it, all the ones in our city. Or I don't only want to get my class to do it. I want to get all the classes in the school. So if you have this idea where you're thinking about lots of different teams doing this challenge together, which is how we did the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, then you might want to sign up for the community course. And so it's similar. It has the video lessons. It also has a downloadable guidebook for how to run a community challenge. We have expert interviews with people from faith communities, neighborhoods, businesses, and cities. And then the rest is pretty much the same, that you can share this with up to 20 people. So again, if you're thinking, all right, let me see not only my Girl Scout troop, but let's see if we can get 10 more Girl Scout troops doing it together, you can share the videos with those other people. And then you do that 90-minute one-to-one session with me, get the 5 digital copies of the book and the workbook. the private group area in our members, private group in our members area, and joining that alumni group. Okay, so and those open January 15th. They'll be open anytime that you want to join from them. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at the action plan checklist. So, when we did the 90-day climate action challenge that started on September 1st, honestly, I didn't know exactly what the pacing was because I'd never done it with this big of a group. I'd seen people take the steps and have progress quickly, but what we did was bring people from around the world and gave an assignment every week of what to do. And through that process, we figured out what is doable, what is actually workable. So that's what this action plan checklist is. This is in the workbook. This is what the book is built around, as well as the courses. So the way it starts is that you have 2 weeks that are kind of prep weeks. So, this is like when I worked at the juice bar, we used to help people do 3-day juice cleanses. But, most people that just walked in and said, okay, I want to start it today, they didn't do very well on it. But the people who said, okay, I want to order my juice cleanse now to start on Saturday. Today's Monday. And we give them the information about, okay, here's what you do in the meantime. Here's how you get ready for your shopping. Here's how you clear your schedule. Make sure you're eating fresh vegetables, lots of, soups and salads as you move towards this cleanse. Those people were able to have a really great experience. And so this is a similar idea, is that in the couple weeks leading up to it, this is when you start. This first week is you're really getting grounded in yourself. And when you use the workbook, and these prompts are in the book as well, but it's basically just like a bunch of writing prompts. So if you're somebody that likes writing, like I do, we do writing prompts with my daughter. Sometimes we'll get together and okay, write for 5 minutes about, this random thing. Well, that's what this is about too. So you start in this first week with the writing prompts are about how to write your hero's journey story and how to write your personal vision statement and creating, this action plan checklist. Like, what are the dates that would actually work for you? When do you really want to start it? And then making a promise to yourself. So this is where you get really solid in yourself about here's what I want to do and why I want to do it. Then next you go to these big picture principles. So thinking about, well, what has happened on our watch? Has what we've been doing before been working or not, and why? And so taking that, setting the context. The 2% for life, that is the dedicating 3 hours of your life per week for the rest of your life to caring for the planet. That's 2% of your life. Developing your self-care plan. Then this new lens is really looking at old ideas, like what are the teachings of indigenous wisdom and are we practicing it in our current culture? What is biomimicry about? How do we learn from the brilliance of life? How does systemic oppression, racism, how are those things impacting the way that environmental groups have been acting in the past and how it's been limiting their effectiveness? And then going on into green team programs. So what the heck even is a green team and what kind of programs are out there that you might be able to just plug into? And then coaching for change. So the idea of how do you actually help people change? This is key. This is, again, another part that the environmental movement has not focused on. You sign up for a big environmental group, you get notices of, we need donations, we need someone to sign this petition, we need you to comment on this thing. But there's not this coaching, this human behavior coaching. And this is a key part of how you transform your community. All right, so that's your first 2 weeks, is you're just getting everything kind of set in your mind. It's like if you signed up for a college course, they're going to assign you those first couple chapters to read before you get into the course. That's what this is too. All right. So then you're going to dive in. So the first thing that you do, well, another thing I want to say is trust the process. A lot of people think, well, I don't know what I want to do, or, you know, I'm confused, or I can't get people excited, or nobody in my town cares about this, or I'm not sure where to focus. All those things are normal and natural, and this process is going to help you through it. So don't freak out prematurely and think that, you know, it's not going to work, because it is. So week one is, first you start by researching exemplary models. So what does that mean? That means that if you want to start a community garden, you don't just wander around and like try to figure out. No, you say, okay, if I want to start a community garden in my town, what are the most successful community gardens here? And you start reaching out and figuring out what they have been doing. Or let's say you want to start a community garden at a school. Why not research award-winning school community gardens? Like, find out, what are the best gardens in the world? What did they do? How did they do it? So what you want to do is get yourself 90% up the learning curve before you even take your first step. So that's the idea of the exemplary models. And then embracing leadership and the engagement ladder. So these are all parts of that you can get into in the book. Then you go into your mission and vision. You start talking about, okay, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do this. And you figure it out by having lots of conversations. But first, you start talking to people about, wouldn't it be cool if? Wow, wouldn't it be awesome if our community, blah, 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 30 years from now, you know? So in 2051, wouldn't it be cool if? And so you get people agreeing on that vision. And then depending on who's there, you're going to figure out what your team has this confluence of interest about. The big, hairy, audacious goal, that's like, well, maybe we should plant 1 million trees. And the pilot project is, let's see if we can plant 10 trees at the church, that's the social justice church on the corner. So there's all different strategies that are built into this. And then weekly meetings. Let's see if we can meet weekly through this 90-day period. So that's 13 weeks. Let's just hop on it and do it just for this amount of time and see what we can have going. And can you feel this? This is exciting. Like, this is exciting compared to, hey, our planet is in the dumps where nothing seems to be work, but we've got to try. Like, who wants to be part of that? No, but this is exciting. And this is what somebody would want to be part of. Then you go through week 3, you start getting your 100 ideal partner list together, which is an incredible exercise. Week 4, you choose the dates for your day of action and your strategic planning forum. What this means is that toward the end of the time period, I'm going to cruise down to that to show you. So weeks 11 and 12, you can do this a different date, but these are kind of placeholders. So week 11, you're going to hold a day of action. So that means you're going to do a cleanup event. You're going to do a tree planting. You're going to hold a Zoom conference with 3 different speakers and teach people how to do something. So your day of action is where you bring people together and take some photos and show people working together and get them excited about coming together and bringing their own gifts and their own ideas. This is especially important during COVID, right? Because so many people are isolated. So many people aren't getting outside enough. They're not having that sense of community. So you want to be the solution. You always want to change the condition so that you're the solution, you're not the problem. So you're going to have some kind of action like that. Preferably you do a training beforehand. So if you decide to clean up the creek, then you do the training ahead of time and teach people about, hey guys, this is where we're going to clean. This is where we decided to. It's this creek that's right next to this camp where a lot of the homeless people are living, and they don't have anybody that's providing, adequate cleaning services for this group of folks. And it's risking their health, it's risking, the health of the watershed. And so we just want to get together and see what we can do. And when we do the cleanup, we're going to segregate our plastics and our other recyclables and our trash, and we're going to measure and weigh so that we can then report back to the city and say, hey, this is what's happening. Or we report back to the manufacturers of the trash that we collected and say, this is what we found in our streams. So you do that training, you do a day of action, and then, people know that, of course, going out with the trash picker one day is not going to solve the problems. So you take that camaraderie, that everything that you built, that connection, that awareness, that sense of empowerment, and funnel it into the strategic planning forum. The strategic planning forum is, what are you going to do next after these 90 days? So, okay, now we saw what the issues were with plastic in our waters. Do we want to focus there? Do we want to focus on the watershed? What are people interested in? Are you passionate about the pesticides? What's the interest? What is the priorities? What are the skill sets? And based on that whole strategic planning forum, which we have the details in there, you can move forward. So there's lots of other steps in this action plan that kind of get you from point A to point B. But I just wanted to kind of show you that whole process, and that you can do it. You can do it in a very short amount of time. Let me turn this back off here. And so when you're thinking about, okay, so what do you mean, Joan? Like, what can we do? How could we do this in connection with Earth Day? Well, Earth Day is one of those days that, if you are an environmental group, if you're trying to get something started, then use Earth Day somehow. Use that date, partner with that date and that momentum's there. So if that's going to be the end of your 90 days, then do something that announces that in conjunction with Earth Day. If instead you're going to do a community-wide thing, maybe you announce it on Earth Day. Hey guys, we're going to do 90-day challenges for all the schools starting in September this year. And so any school that wants to be part of this, we're going to have mentors and all the stuff. So if you want to be on the coordinating team, then sign up with us now. So Earth Day is just one of those dates that you can do something big around that date, bring people together, and either have it be the end of, hey, we're a new group that came together. We really care about this community, this neighborhood, our faith community, whatever it is. And this is what we did in the past 90 days, and we invite you to join us and move forward. So that's the idea, is that we do not have to get stuck in this idea that we're powerless. Even a lot of the big environmental leaders out there are encouraging people, take action, but they're not going that next step. Imagine if everyone who said take action, and what I mean by taking action is start a team in any one of the communities that you're part of. This could be at your workplace, your faith community, your neighborhood, your city, your business, like anything that your school, anything that you're part of. You could start a team. You could set a 90-day goal for yourself, do this 90-day challenge, and see what happens. And part of the tagline from the Green Team Academy is get together, make a difference, and feel better. And in this time when so many people are suffering from that isolation and from depression and from being disconnected from the things that keep us feeling good. You may not be able to go to a yoga class or meet, your friends in the park, or play the kind of sports that you used to do, or whatever those things are, that made you feel good. A lot of those are just missing. And the same with our kids and our families, where people are stuck behind computers all day. You can bring this idea of a team together and help people have intergenerational experiences, help people in different communities come forward as leaders. You don't need any specific background. If you want to teach people about plant-based cooking, or if you want to learn to garden, you can do it. You can do it together, and you can make real progress in 90 days. And if you don't believe me, go back through those stories over at climateactionchallenge.net and read one after the other of what people were able to do. You can do it too. So I encourage you to get the book, get the workbook, sign up for one of our courses, and be the change. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. And remember, the time for action is now, because there is no planet B. See you soon. Bye.